Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Theo.
And we just bought our first ever sailboat.
She's a 1996 Pacific Seacraft 40.
We plan to work and live full-time aboard and hopefully sail to some of the world's most remote places.
We're both happiest in and around the water. We're divers, ocean conservationists, and underwater photographers.
Yeah, so we thought we would come on here and answer some of our most asked questions so far.
Okay, so starting off, why did we name our boat Lost Years?
So the name Lost Years actually comes from sea turtles, which are a very significant animal to us. And when sea turtles, hatchlings hatch and they make their way down into the ocean, they swim off out into the sea, and we don't really know where they go or what they do for about 5 to 10 years before they eventually return to coastal waters to feed on coral reefs and seagrass beds. So researchers have deemed those years, the sea turtles' lost years. And that's why we named the boat, because we're going out to sea to basically adventure and survive.
Yeah. So I'm from the Cayman Islands, and my grandfather and his father started the very first turtle farm in the late 60s. So this animal has been a part of my family history forever.
That was also when sea turtles almost went extinct in the Caribbean, and their farming initiative was actually kind of a turning point for sea turtle population numbers to go back up. And while we were living in Grand Cayman, I also volunteered with the government's sea turtle nest monitoring program for the last 2 summers, which was honestly life-changing. And watching those little baby turtles make their way down to the ocean without a second thought, just so fearless, really inspired us to finally get our boat and set sail. So what kind of sailing experience or training do we have to prepare us for this life?
Well, I've been very privileged, and I grew up boating my whole life. Since the age of 9, 10 onwards, I've been on all kinds of motorboats. I've worked on boats professionally. I'm not afraid of the maintenance and being a bilge rat. Also, as a commercial diver, I was very hands-on working on the boats and barges and things that I was on. But in terms of sailboats, this will be our first sailboat, and we have very little experience or qualifications. I did grow up sailing in my youth a little bit, and a little bit of fun here and there on Hobie Cats, but this is definitely a big leap for us.
So somebody asked if we'll be having Pepper the chicken on the boat, and someone else asked when are we sailing to Cayman. So if you don't know, I have a pet chicken. Her name's Pepper. She lives at Theo's mom's house on the island, and she's a special kind of chicken. She actually has fur instead of feathers. She's super cute, super iconic. Her attitude is like total boss bitch. I would love to have her on the boat. I'd love to have her full-time sailing around the world with me, but I just don't think that she will enjoy that very much. So she's gonna stay in the beautiful garden in Grand Cayman, and eventually we do hope to sail to Cayman, just stop by there briefly. It's not really a sailing place. There's not a lot of safe anchorages if like a storm was to come through, but it's Theo's home. We have a lot of friends there, and it would be kind of a full circle moment to bring our boat there. So maybe you will see Pepper on the boat in a future episode. So when are we making it to the South Pacific?
Well, we'd love to be ready to cross the Pacific in early 2027. But this new lifestyle is so foreign to us, so we're just going to take it one step at a time.
So where do you think we'll sail to first?
I'd love to get to the Bahamas before hurricane season kicks off, but we're just focusing on getting the boat in the water. What are you most looking forward to about this next chapter?
I am most looking forward to being as eco-conscious as possible and pushing the boundaries to see how self-sufficient we can actually be. We already have solar and a water maker, so we're doing pretty good so far.
Personally, I'm looking forward to spearfishing. I'm huge on cooking, so for me, the idea of being able to go and catch or shoot fish from the sea and prepare them in our home is really exciting to me.
So the question that everybody wants to know is, how much did our boat cost? And I just have my phone here, so we can look at the numbers.
And before we get into the numbers, we knew we wanted to get into this lifestyle since almost the beginning of our love story, but we have been saving up for the better part of 5 years to be able to afford a boat like this.
All right, so let's get into it. We think the asking price for this boat was originally listed at $269,000, but it was dropped to $242,000, which is when we found her on the market and came to view her. So in our research, it was suggested to us that we offer anywhere between 10 to 30% lower than the asking price. So our first offer was $222,000. After some negotiations, we ended up settling on a final purchase price of $227,000, and we had to put a deposit of 10% down to move forward with the rest of the purchase. We were so excited that the owners accepted our offer. We even felt a little bit guilty after the negotiations because we felt like she was worth a little bit more than what we had, but we needed to keep some money in the bank because we still had to pay for a survey and a sea trial.
The survey and sea trial cost a total of $2,227, and that included the travel costs for our surveyor, who was from out of town. It was the haul in and out for the boat and for the sea trial.
Yeah, and we don't recommend cutting costs in this part of your boat buying process unless you're okay with ending up with like a major project boat. Definitely hire a reputable professional.
Yeah, and we decided to do our own research when it came to a surveyor, because if you've been part of this process before, you may have gotten to the point where you wanted to make an offer on a boat and the broker gave you a list of local surveyors. And I'm not saying that there's any conflict of interest here, but
there could be.
There could be. So we decided to look outside of where the boat was, and thankfully here in Virginia, Norfolk isn't that far away, and there's no shortage of great boat surveyors.
Yeah, and we also scoured different forums online and found one that came highly recommended.
And if you want to get into this lifestyle, or you're just in like this boat searching phase, you are your first line of defense when it comes to looking at boats. I mean, we put in thousands of hours of research and reading. One of the most important resources that we were given was Inspecting an Aging Sailboat. It's a book written by Don Casey, and I mean that book was instrumental for us. I mean, when we would show up at a boat, it was like a broker's worst nightmare, because we would spend 2-3 hours with a fine-tooth comb going over everything, so we knew what we were getting into.
Yeah, in the book there's a 30-minute survey how to do it yourself so that you can make sure you check all your boxes before you have to spend a couple of grand on a surveyor, depending on how long your boat is as well, right? Because the surveyor usually charges per foot of boat.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, we had to secure insurance before we could close on the boat. And so we got quotes ranging from $1,500 a year to $12,000 a year.
Yeah.
And they all had different limitations and restrictions and all of that. But we ended up going with one of the cheaper options for about $1,600 for the year.
Yeah.
One thing we forgot to mention about insurance when we were filming this was that we did not want to have to get insurance.
No, we had hoped that like the sailing liveaboard lifestyle was going to be an escape from the world and from the bureaucracy and forms and things like that, but in a way it's not really.
Yeah, we found that a lot of boatyards, marinas, and even countries require proof of insurance to enter and use facilities and whatnot, so we were kind of forced into getting insurance.
And they can tell you where and when you can be, so it's important that when you're shopping in insurance that they allow you to be where you want to be. So we are a U.S. Coast Guard flagged vessel, so we have U.S. insurance while we're here in the U.S., but we do expect to reflag the vessel potentially where I'm from, the Cayman Islands, in the future, so we kind of have some more options when it comes to international insurance and allowing to have like a more broad or vaguer sail plan, things for like a Pacific crossing or even just cruising the Caribbean or Central America.
Yeah, so since we're in America right now, we just went with a cheaper American insurance.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that if you're shopping around for a boat, that you research into beforehand.
Yeah.
Because we kind of did it in like the middle, and we kept getting a lot of no's and a lot of like all these restrictions and whatnot. And it was very frustrating and disappointing. At times we felt like we weren't going to be able to get the boat because of insurance. And that was a really bad feeling for us. So we definitely recommend really looking into that seriously beforehand so you're not disappointed.
Yeah. And it can be difficult before you know what boat you want, obviously, but make sure it's part of one of your contingencies for your like your term of sale or your purchasing agreement for the boat, that you have to be able to get insurance.
And if you can't get insurance, you can cancel
you
the
can
sale
back out of
and
the
get your
agreement.
deposit back.
Yeah, no, that's definitely important.
Lastly, our other closing costs, which will be broker specific, came out to $295 for processing and fees. And then we also paid the broker to do our U.S. Coast Guard documentation because we just didn't want to do that paperwork. So that was $550. And that is how much we spent total on our boat buying process.
Yeah. And it should be known too that no boat is perfect. If you are searching for the perfect boat, you are never going to find it. Mm-hmm. You can get into this lifestyle on almost any budget. But like I said, no boat is perfect. This boat was pretty close to perfect for us. But still, we have our hands full with projects, things that need to be done. You know, there's things that you don't know, and then there's things that you don't know that you don't know. So we're waiting to find out what those don't knows are.
And somebody asked us what our projected monthly budget is going to be, which is kind of a hard question for us to answer right now because we're spending a lot on, outfitting the boat and
tools,
a few initial repairs and all of that. But hopefully down the line we can provide a more accurate...
Yeah, once we get in the water and we're moving and we figure out where and when we want to be, it will be easier for us to give you a cost breakdown.
Yeah, like a month cost breakdown. We're planning on keeping track of all of it.
Yeah.
And in our research on cruising lifestyle, we loved people that were really transparent about money because it helped us to get a better idea of what we were getting into. So we definitely want to be those people and hopefully help you guys out there. For anyone that might be saving up right now for a sailboat, it's one of the best times in recent history to buy a sailboat, especially a blue water boat that's a bit older. They're just kind of sitting on the market right now.
No, it definitely is. I mean, if you look at, there's a lot of data out there. You can find it on Yacht World and other similar sites, the average amount of days that boats sit. And prices are falling, and you can be aggressive with your offers because they're sitting for a long time.
Yeah, sellers are getting desperate. So if you're ready to join us out on the water soon, hopefully, now is one of the best times to take the leap and buy a boat for yourself.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.